Hello, I'm Jean Pete, and I welcome you back to our show, Better Living. Better Living is brought to you by the Homestead Hope Foundation and is sponsored by Homestead Hospice, where commitment to education and premier hospice care helps patients and families through life's most important journey.
Thank you for joining me again this week. I am here today with Carrie Bellware, who is the Executive Director of Senior Services of North Fulton. But no matter where you live, in what area, what community you're in, there's going to be some great information discussed on today's show. So I want you to stay tuned and stay with us. Carrie, thank you for joining us today and meeting me here in the studio. I appreciate you coming in.
I'm happy to be here.
Why don't we start by talking a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in North Fulton Senior Services?
Well, I've always had a real passion for working with older adults. It probably goes back to my family, as many of us who work with this population had wonderful grandparents who helped to raise me. And I was lucky enough to fall into the field, and I've been working with older adults for about 15 years.
So do you have a medical background or a business background, or how does one get involved in senior services?
I have a business background, and I transitioned from the corporate world into the nonprofit world about 15 years ago.
I see.
And it's been a great fit.
Isn't it funny, those transitions? And we will start talking about senior services. But,
yes.
You know, I started in the financial industry and transitioned into healthcare. That's crazy, you know.
Right.
But I absolutely love working with the senior population, working with people who are facing some of life's largest challenges, and feel very, very blessed that I get to hopefully positively affect through our teams and our offices people's lives in a way that many people don't. So I understand. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about North Fulton Senior Services. It runs the gamut. What do people need to know about senior services in their communities?
Well, we are a nonprofit organization that serves the 6 cities in North Fulton. We are the only nonprofit that works exclusively with older adults. So we provide a whole range of services. We operate the Meals on Wheels program. We operate 4 senior centers. We have a medical transportation program. We have another transportation program that provides opportunities for errands and other important engagements that seniors may have. And we also provide services in the home. So we are both serving seniors in their home and in the community in our senior centers.
So when we talk about seniors, what does the typical senior look like? And I don't mean that really, like what do they dress like and what's their hair look like, but who is it that you're serving?
Well, technically, we serve people who are over the age of 60, and we are serving people in our senior centers who maybe most of the time they're not driving anymore,
Okay.
So we provide transportation to our senior centers. We provide a morning's worth of activities and have a hot lunch, and then people typically go home in the afternoon. And then we serve clients in the home who maybe need just a baseline level of support so they can remain at home, like a visit daily from a friendly volunteer who brings a meal, or somebody to come in and help once a week maybe with a shower or a shave, or homemaker come in and wash the sheets and take care of the kitchen.
And it's all voluntary, so there's not a cost involved when you get it through senior services? Or
Right
is
now, we ask for a voluntary contribution from our clients, so all clients are served regardless of ability to pay for services. But the community is changing, and our clients are changing. You hear about the silver tsunami, and the numbers of people who are aging in place in our community. So we're beginning to serve younger seniors. We serve a lot of people who've moved here from out of town to be by children. And of course, especially we serve those who don't have families and really need the extra community support.
So let's talk about that. I want to kind of divide the services that you offer. First, let's talk about the senior centers.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about all of the support services that you give in the home.
Okay.
And the reason I want to do that is, I moved here. Well, you don't know, but I moved here about 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago. And a couple years ago, my mother moved down here as well. So I happen to know firsthand what it's like to have a 70 or late 60 something person come and move into this community. And one of the first things I did was, hey, Mom, let's look and see what the senior center has to offer, what kind of activities they're offering. Maybe you could meet friends by getting connected through the senior center. Is that very typical? Because I heard you talking about the fact that you're serving a lot of seniors that move down to be near children, much like my mother.
Yes, that's very typical of who we serve. And in fact, I did the same.
Oh, okay.
You know, I moved here in 96, and my mom moved here about 7 years ago. So went through the exact same transition with my own mom. Yes, we're serving lots of older adults who did not grow up in Atlanta. The transition can be hard, but there's a wealth of resources, particularly in the North Fulton community, for seniors, whether they're
and it's active. That's what I want to get out there. You know, you come here, you have so much life left to live.
Right.
It's just a means, it's like a social connection place, and you can go on trips or to functions in the evening. So let's talk about some of the things that you offer through your senior centers.
That's exactly right. You know, a lot of our communities they all have morning full of activities. We do a lot of health and wellness. We do a lot of education. We do a lot of art classes. Exercise classes. We have a trip once a week that we go on, a lot of shopping trips, because again, a lot of the people who come to our centers are no longer driving, so we're able to get them out to do some basic shopping. But what's also very interesting about our senior centers, and one of our strengths, is that they are incredibly diverse. So we have people coming to our centers from all over the world. So we have people here from the former Soviet Union, from China, Korea, India, Iran. So we have these rich cultural resources, and people are making friends with people from all over the world, and they're sharing their stories. And what I think is one of the greatest things about our senior centers is that people make new friends. You know, sometimes people think older adults can't, make connections with new people. But that's not true at all. These friendships are deep. And I always say that our senior centers are these caring communities. You know, our staff cares, the participants care about one another. They're really very special places.
Yeah, and those connections are so important. And that's the biggest worry. And that's why I wanted to talk about senior centers and young, active seniors getting together and just enjoying each other and having a means to be social and interactive. Because, you move here, you lose a lot of your childhood friends. You've moved out of town, out of state, out of country sometimes.
Right.
But we have to have those interactions to be fulfilled in life. And we struggled because my mom has since married at 71, which is great. And his sister came up from Florida, and we're struggling to get her involved. But she's miserable because she sits in her apartment and doesn't want to participate. So it's like pulling teeth. But I think there's a persona that folks going to senior centers are older, maybe not healthy, what have you. And I want to harp on this because it's a way for you to start the next phase in the rest of your life. It may just be a meeting place. You meet a handful of people, you start getting together on the outside of the senior centers, but don't just sit in and say, I hate it here, and that happens a lot.
Something else that older adults can do that is a way to meet new people is to volunteer. And we have about 500 volunteers who work with our organization. Most of them are delivering the Meals on Wheels, but interestingly, at least half of them are seniors themselves. So seniors helping seniors, retirees, looking for meaning, looking for community. And our meals program, our Meals on Wheels, are actually picked up and delivered from the senior centers.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Meals on Wheels program because it is a complete donation heavy program, right? Or are you funded? Because I know a couple years ago, a lot of that funding was pulled away, and the Meals on Wheels programs were struggling.
Right. There have been some financial challenges with the Meals on Wheels program, but I have to say that the very generous North Fulton community has really risen to the occasion and is supporting us, and we are getting people off waiting lists as fast as we possibly can.
Is it privately funded now, or
It's
is
both.
there some? Okay,
It's a combination of public and private funding.
Okay.
And, we are so fortunate to be a totally volunteer-driven program so that our wonderful volunteers pick up the meals every day from our senior centers and are bringing them to our clients in the home every weekday.
And this is so important because I've actually done a show in the past on Meals on Wheels a couple years ago when it was really hit hard, and not North Fulton, but so I'm aware of some of the struggles and the need. So I want to talk more about this because volunteering to deliver Meals on Wheels to folks that can't get out a lot of times is the difference between them having that meal or going hungry, period.
Right.
And it is so fulfilling. You meet people through the Meals on Wheels program. You meet people through being interactive. You're fulfilling your own heart by doing something. And a lot of times friendships are created by just getting to know the person that you're delivering the meals to. And because of all of those volunteers, the money that you are getting, the little money, not enough, does go straight into making sure that we can get as many people off the waiting list as possible to get them delivered meals as well.
Absolutely.
How is your waiting list? How long does it take for someone who is applying for the program to get into the program?
It varies. Right now I think we have about 10 people on the waiting list.
That's
and
not bad.
Yeah, we're actively fundraising. This is our active fundraising time as a private nonprofit. Our volunteers and donors always come through towards the end of the year at holiday time to support us. The other thing I'd like to say about our Meals on Wheels program, yes, it's a nutritious meal that gets delivered, but it's more than just the meal. It's really about the visit. It's about connecting with someone who may not be seeing another person that day. It's a safety check for the family to make sure that someone's answering the door to accept their meal. It's one of our core programs, and it's kind of the heart and soul of what we do.
It's an amazing program, and thank you so much for providing it, because I know that it has been challenging all over the country. Mm-hmm. And you serve how many people on your Meals on Wheels program?
Right now we're serving about 150 people, but we know that the need is much greater than that. Mm-hmm. But last year we served about 30,000 meals.
And what is the cost involved if you are participating in the Meals on Wheels program?
Right now, we only ask for voluntary contribution if you are able to contribute towards the cost of the meal.
And that's a little different depending on what Meals on Wheels program is in your community.
Exactly.
So you'd have to, if you have a need, or if a loved one or a friend, neighbor, relative, you think may have a need to be placed on Meals on Wheels program or on the waiting list, do just give a call and check it out, because they don't all run completely free. Is that correct?
It's very different. I mean, every community has an area agency on aging, and the client can call and find out who's the provider in their area. And there are different requirements based on which community you live in. Right now, we're happy to be able to provide the service kind of on a voluntary cost share basis, but we would like to be able to serve more people, so we're looking at different models.
Mm-hmm. And you serve Fulton, which is the heart of the city of Atlanta. So
correct, the North Fulton community.
You have a big task on your hands,
yes,
providing Meals on Wheels. And how often is it a 5-day-a-week program, 3-day-a-week program? Different people get it different times?
It's whatever works best for the client.
Is it one meal a day?
It's one meal. It comes midday.
Okay.
And if someone also needs meals on the weekends, we'll do the weekend meals on Friday, so they have enough for the weekend.
Wonderful. So we've talked about senior centers, we've talked about your Meals on Wheels program, and the importance of volunteers. So even if you can't donate, now is a great time, and Meals on Wheels is a great program to donate to, because we do such good for folks who've contributed to society, and really we should be paying them back by helping them in their time of need. But if you can't donate your time.
Absolutely.
Be a volunteer.
We have many ways for the community to get involved. Yes, they can deliver the meals. They can come and help us in the senior centers, come teach a class, come serve a meal. We also have a friendly visiting program where we have seniors who don't get out can receive a visitor to come and keep them company, or take them shopping, or play cards, whatever is really required. We just recently started a Meals on Wheels for Pets program.
Wow.
Because if you think about it, as you get older, not only is pet food expensive, it can be difficult to transport. If you're no longer driving, how are you going to get your pet food? So we feel really good about allowing older adults to stay connected with their pets, and they're able to
so
keep
important,
them.
especially if you can't get out, to have that cat or dog just jump on your lap. It is a companion till you can have those couple of times a week visitors just to come in and talk to. So that's wonderful. I didn't even think about that. But you can't, and then those bags are heavy.
They're really heavy, and they're really expensive.
Yeah.
And, we do have clients making choices about how they're spending their limited incomes.
That's great. So please do get in touch with your local area agency on aging. Okay. I know it's AAA, Area Agency on Aging, to find out how you can help with volunteering for either Meals on Wheels or within the senior center in your community as well. Now, speaking of the senior centers, for the holidays, are you coming up and providing meals on those holidays as well?
Yes, we do. We have a holiday meal program, so we get meals out to the clients. We have parties at the senior centers. In fact, today we're having Thanksgiving celebrations at all of the senior centers. So we try and celebrate as much as we can, and the holidays are a good time.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's talk about your in-home services. We touched a little bit on that in the beginning of the show, but that is just as important as some of the things we've already talked about. So remind our listeners again of all the programs you offer.
Okay. Kind of the goal of the work that we do is to allow older adults to remain in their homes and in their communities for as long as they choose to, or as long as they are able to. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of support to make the difference between being able to stay at home and having to move into a senior community where more services are provided, and those are much more expensive. So, obviously Meals on Wheels helps a great deal in terms of socialization and a healthy, nutritious meal. But we are also able to bring in personal care services so that if someone needs the ability to shower safely with assistance or shave safely, we're able to provide that kind of support. Or again, as I might have mentioned, having somebody come in to change the sheets and run a load of laundry makes all the difference between being able to stay at home or move to a higher level of care.
And in addition to that, I'm sure you have these outside resources come to the senior centers and speak about the services that they provide.
Absolutely.
And so you really have knowledge that is so valuable to someone who might be in need of those services and doesn't know which way to turn, or which one is good, or what the differences are between the different programs. And so a nice place to start might be to give you all a call, and you can give them a list of folks that you know of and have gotten opinions from others who've used the program and have really experienced it, instead of just picking and hoping for the best.
That's right. We provide a lot of information, resources for the community. Each of our senior centers has resource tables with lots of information. Our center managers are very skilled and knowledgeable about the resources in the community. And then you just call our main office, and we have wonderful staff who can answer questions about resources throughout the community, and we'll connect you.
So what is that number if anyone does want to get in touch with you? And no matter what market you're in, you can just go on a website and check Area Agency on Aging. Correct. And that will direct you to the local community resources that you have and who to call to get you started. Right?
Exactly.
But for folks here that might want to get in touch with you, what is that phone number?
It's 770-993-1010. 1906, or you could certainly visit our website, which is www.s as in Sam, northfulton.org.
Is North spelled out?
Yes, North
Okay.
and Fulton are spelled out.
.org. Okay,
Right.
wonderful. Now, speaking of the holidays coming up, and we did talk about Thanksgiving meals coming, do you have any events that you want to talk about and let people know that are coming? So we want to talk about that. And also, I want to talk a little bit more about what the typical senior in the home looks like, what their needs are. Let's delve into those specific services that you do connect folks to so that we can educate people on just how much you can offer and why you are such a great resource for folks. You meaning Area Agency on Aging.
Okay.
Okay. But we do have to take a quick break, so stay with me, and when we come back, we're going to talk a lot more about how you can get help in the home and what help you might need and what is out there for you, and then upcoming events in Atlanta as well. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Jean Pete, and I welcome you back to our show, Better Living. Better Living is brought to you by the Homestead Hope Foundation and is sponsored by Homestead Hospice, where commitment to education and premier hospice care helps patients and families through life's most important journey.
Thank you for staying with us today. I'm Jean Pete, and I'm still here with Carrie Bellware. Carrie, again, is the Executive Director for Senior Services of North Fulton. And prior to the break, we were talking about senior services, senior centers, Area Agency on Aging. And I just want to make sure there's clarity around how that all works. Because who do you call? Do you call the senior center? Do you call the Area Agency on Aging? How is it connected with the services that are provided? So if you could, when we start this half hour, just provide some clarity on how that works. Because we have folks listening from all over. I know you're in 6 cities, but it might be different based on the city they live in.
You know, if you know where your senior center is, that would probably be the best resource for you, a place to start. But a lot of people don't know where their senior centers are. So that's when you go back up and you try and identify your area agency on aging. And every community in the United States has an area agency on aging. And they will either be providing the services directly, like the Meals on Wheels and the senior center programming. They could be subcontracting with a county-based aging program who'll be providing the services, or they can be subcontracting with a nonprofit, and we are a nonprofit. And we're actually a subcontractor to the Fulton County Office on Aging, who's a subcontractor to the Area Agency on Aging, which is the Atlanta Regional Commission.
Okay, that's
the
a little
Atlanta
too much
area.
for me to handle.
Okay.
So if we live in Atlanta, start at the senior center, or contact Area Agency on Aging, and they'll send you to wherever it is you
Right.
need to go based on your need.
Exactly.
We can keep it simple, right?
Right.
But do know, it is important, and thank you for that clarity, do know that different centers, different communities, different cities work a little bit differently, and the great work that you're doing and all of the folks in your community have assisted you in providing your services for free. But that's not the case in all communities.
Right.
I know sometimes you do have to pay for the Meals on Wheels. It's still a wonderful program and minimal, but it really depends on the resources and the volunteerism in the communities that
Exactly.
they're serving.
Exactly.
But again, let's just recap a little bit about the benefits of that Meals on Wheels program outside of the cost, because you're paying not just for food if you have to pay.
Right.
And luckily, through North Fulton, you don't. But like you had mentioned, some other benefits. Can you just recap those for us?
Sure. I mean, the meal that comes to the older adult on a daily basis is nutritionally balanced, very healthy, very delicious meals. We test them all the time. The meal provider is Open Hand, which is a nonprofit operating here in the city of Atlanta. They're a wonderful partner for us, and they bring us the meals for the Meals on Wheels program as well as the lunches for our senior centers. So food is very, very important, but also, as we said earlier, it's the visit from a friendly volunteer that's really the cornerstone of the Meals on Wheels program. And our volunteers always say they're getting as much as they're giving. The visits are meaningful for both, and it's meaningful work for our volunteers.
And I love what you said. It's a safety check.
Right. It is a safety
peace of mind
check
for loved ones that everything's okay still.
Right. If the client doesn't answer the door, the volunteer knows to call our office, and we check the emergency contact information and get in touch with family, if there's family, or neighbor, whoever the emergency contact is, and make sure that everyone's okay.
And on that note, because sometimes there's not family, you do also connect seniors, older adults, with services.
Correct.
Should they qualify or need those services. So let's talk about some of those services that you've helped connect seniors to keep them living their best lives for as long as their lives.
Well, I think one of the services that we haven't talked about yet is our transportation program. You can only imagine, especially in North Atlanta or anywhere in Atlanta, the traffic is so bad. And when you're no longer driving, you can become homebound and isolated and depressed very, very easily. So we have 2 transportation programs that we've developed to meet the needs for our clients. One is a medical transportation program where we're actually taking older adults to their medical appointments. And we do that in one of 3 ways. For the most independent and active and independent senior, we'll send a passenger van that they'll hop into. They'll get dropped off at their doctor's appointment. They'll just call when they're ready for pickup, and we'll get them back home. So they're getting the medical care that they need, and they're getting there safely. For a senior who might need a little bit extra support, we'll send a certified nursing assistant in a car that will pick them up, escort them to the doctor's appointment, stay with them, bring them home, sometimes stop at the pharmacy to fill the prescriptions, and then get them home safely. We can take their walkers in the car. That's a very important service. And then we also have the ability to get people who are in wheelchairs to their medical appointments. We contract with a wheelchair provider. So we feel like this is such an important service. Getting to the doctors, getting to therapy appointments, it's critical for healthy, independent living in the community.
And that's free too?
Again, all of our services are offered. We ask for voluntary contributions. Right. And I must say that those that can do and those that can't, it's okay. We want to be there to support everyone in the community. And those that have the resources, they gladly support the programs. And that allows us to provide the services to those that do not have the resources to pay for them.
And really, the money that you're donating is helping you stay healthy, stay on your medicine. There is such a worth to that, preventing you from some large medical bills that you would get if you couldn't get to the doctor to get your medicines or
Absolutely.
The pharmacy. So as much as you can donate, no matter what it is, and if you have the means so that other folks can also benefit. What
Yes.
a great program. What
Yes.
a great offering, because that racks up. That can be very, very expensive.
It's very, very expensive, and that's a totally grant-funded program, and individual contributions go to support that program. It's a very, very important core service that we offer. And then this year we started a second transportation program, and this one, it's our transportation voucher program that's called GATE. And this is meeting a need. It's actually a grant that we received from the Atlanta Regional Commission Area Agency on Aging. And the purpose is to use underutilized community resources to help seniors get to where they need to go, like neighbors, friends, family members, taxis. What we do is we offer a book of vouchers to an older adult. It's $100 worth of vouchers that they will pay $25 for. And then they reach out to people in their caring networks. Seniors are proud, and they don't want to reach out for help. And this way, by being able to offer a little bit of money towards gas or tolls or parking, they feel proud and empowered to ask for help. They may be helping a neighbor who's out of work.
That's wonderful.
They may be offering a grandchild a little bit of extra money. It's it's a really wonderful program. We have about 150 people now who are participating in this voucher program. They're reaching out to people in their communities that they may not be able to either have afforded to reach out to, like a taxi provider or a van provider, or, as I said, a person in their caring network who might want to help, but they might not have wanted to ask before.
And it like you said, it's empowering. It gives you a sense of self, and then you're helping someone
Exactly.
who you know and love, who may be in need and really appreciate that little bit of money to help you.
Exactly.
I love that. Now, this is a new program?
Yes, it's called the GATE program, Get Around Town Easily. We're into our second year, and it's been wildly successful. And the seniors love it, and our staff loves it. It really opened up a whole other way for our clients to get to where they need to go. They can go to the grocery store. They can go to the pharmacy. They can visit a spouse who might be in the hospital, or in a nursing home. They can get their hair done. They can go to church or synagogue. They're making the choices and they're making the connections that they need to lead this full life.
Is this something that's specific to North Fulton, or are these programs? I know it's only been 2 years, so Is it hard to find a GATE program outside of the North Fulton community?
Well, we call it GATE, in North Fulton, but there are other organizations that are participating through the Atlanta Regional Commission Area Agency on Aging. And again, you can call them and ask them, depending on your location, who might have transportation services available for them in their county, in their community.
I love it, though, because the state of our healthcare is a whole nother show in this country. But, and even just this morning, I was reading about people going into medical bankruptcy. They don't even call it bankruptcy anymore. They call it medical bankruptcy. And an illness does not just affect the person that is sick. It affects the entire family.
Right.
Especially if you're the provider. And it could be the provider of the grandchildren, much like you mentioned you were raised by your grandparents, or the great-grandchildren. And so when you are that person that needs to get back and forth, you might be working with or relying on young 20-somethings who are just starting their life too.
Right.
Maybe they have a baby. They're having a hard time making ends meet as well. And they are pulling away time where they could work so they can get you to the doctor.
Right.
And that's a struggle in and of itself. So what a beautiful program that you now can give them a voucher for their help and assistance. You're in essence paying them. You're their employer, which makes you feel good. And then they, maybe when they're taking you to the pharmacy or the grocery store, they're now able to pay for their medicine or groceries for that evening. I can't think of a better way to just empower everybody involved. I can't imagine this program won't just take off and flourish.
It's been
That's
great.
Amazing.
It's really great.
And donations to is it donations to Area Agency on Aging or donations to
to senior services?
Senior services. Okay, to senior services.
Yes, they help grow that program.
They go right to this program as well.
Yes, they can.
What a beautiful program. I love it. So when you're talking, I love what we're doing in the city, but my mind is also going to the outlying areas where folks are far from maybe a hospital or what have you. But this is a program that's typically offered in all communities, or maybe not.
I couldn't speak to that, unfortunately. I can tell you that our Area Agency on Aging, the Atlanta Regional Commission, is very forward-thinking and has been very concerned about transportation for older adults. We're all concerned about transportation in this city, but they've really taken the lead on some creative solutions for transportation issues for seniors, and this is one of the ones that is really very innovative. We worry a lot about the people who are needing to get to dialysis treatments and chemotherapy treatments. We're able to meet that need somewhat, but that's a big need in this community. But I think if you are listening to this show and you have a need for transportation, again, find your Area Agency on Aging or go to your local senior center and find out what they're able to do to help you.
And even it may be Carrie, that we educate and motivate someone who is able to start a program in their communities, and they can get in touch with you for
Absolutely.
how you started it, what kind of maybe grant writing or
Exactly.
how to get it going. And how great would that feel if we because this is a wonderful program, and if we could bring it to other communities because of this show. What a blessing it is to have this show. It's just another indication. So if you are out there and you are looking for a way to contribute to your community, and you have the means and the know-how, and it would make you feel good, this is a wonderful opportunity to connect you with Carrie, and they can walk you through how the program works well in North Fulton, and you can learn from them being the guinea pig, I guess, right?
Right.
Again, that number is 770-993-1906. And it is Carrie Bellware, who is the Executive Director for Senior Services of North Fulton. Thank you so much, Carrie.
You're welcome.
So let's talk about some of the in-home services and the importance of connecting folks that are involved with your senior services to in-home care. And what does that look like? What kind of in-home care, and what are the benefits?
Well, again, the mission of our organization is to help older adults remain at home in their community for as long as they choose to. And so sometimes it just takes that little bit of support to make the difference between being able to remain at home and having to move. So we have resource specialists, at our agency who are able to connect you with the services that are best for you. We have home care agencies. We have geriatric care managers. There are transportation providers. There are the senior centers, obviously. The North Fulton community is so rich in resources. We're very fortunate. And we have our medical equipment companies. We have our hospitals, which are very supportive of what we do. So, again, I think we keep hammering home the same point, but go to your senior center, call our agency. Don't feel like you have nowhere to turn to get the information that you need to try and find the support you need.
And let's talk a little bit about geriatric care managers, home health agencies, hospice agencies, because I don't think folks know enough that you may qualify to get these services. And skilled home health care is paid for by Medicare and Medicaid. Hospice is paid for
Correct.
by Medicare. And if hospice comes in, they also pay for medications related to what they're coming in for. So you could be struggling financially as well just to manage your illness. And if you're suffering from a terminal illness and qualify for hospice, it's going to help you physically, emotionally, spiritually, and it could even benefit you financially when they take the burden of paying for those medications related to the illness on. People don't know that.
No, they don't. And, our information and referral sources can talk with you about what would best meet your needs. We see the home care companies and the hospice companies as our partners. We provide just enough baseline support to hopefully allow someone to remain at home. But when more care is needed, we will partner with the companies that can provide the additional support and work together to help the families.
And then I know there's different kinds of companies. There's non-skilled home health,
Right.
which is also known as private duty.
Right.
And there is a cost involved because it is private pay, typically. There are some governmental programs that might assist you in paying for
Right.
this kind of care, like the Veterans Aid and Assistance Program if you're a veteran. But these are all things that the Area Agency on Aging and Senior Services
Right.
in North Fulton has the knowledge and the wherewithal and they can connect you to the right resources.
Correct.
But what I want people to know, especially because we're heading into the winter, you don't have to do this alone. And there are so many resources for you. And if you don't know where to start, the best place to start is Senior Services of North Fulton. They're there for you to be a service to you.
Correct.
And don't stay in your house by yourself wishing or getting mad at your relative because they only come once every 3 weeks to take you to the grocery store. If you are reliant on somebody to get you food, reach out for assistance. And this voucher program is a wonderful way to be able to maybe give a relative who helps you give back to them as well while they're helping you. But there's different programs available to you if you are homebound. One would be that private duty where they can come in and do light housekeeping all the way up to bathing and assistance there. And then there's also skilled home health, which you'd have to qualify for it based on an accident or an illness. And then there's hospice care. Can you give some instances on how those different programs have helped folks that you've connected to them through your senior services?
Well, absolutely. I think we are typically working with clients when they are first needing some assistance, and we are really helping them to remain at home. But every client that we work with has a care manager from our staff who works with them, and they meet with them regularly, and they're checking to make sure that their needs haven't changed, that there aren't more services that can be provided. When we can no longer support them, when we feel like it's no longer safe with our baseline level of support, then we obviously will make referrals to either other home care agencies, geriatric care managers. We'll speak with the physicians. We'll get involved to help them secure the additional services they need so they are safely at home. We'll even help them when they make the decision perhaps to leave their home and move to a senior living residence, whether it's independent or assisted. But as I said, we work very well with all of our partners in the aging world in North Fulton, and they support us as kind of the safety net organization for the community, and we just enjoy our partnership with them.
And you brought up a couple of good points. You are like a geriatric care management agency, but when the needs get greater,
correct,
then they need to transition to, because that was going to be one of my questions,
correct,
a new geriatric care manager that is specifically going to be seeing them in the home probably more and more connected to them once the need becomes greater.
Correct.
You can't stay with them all the way
no,
through.
We can't.
You just don't have the resources for that.
No, we're kind of independent. We're in the middle between the most independent senior and those that really do need to transition to a higher level of care.
Okay.
So we're very proud of what we do. We understand our role, but that's why we work so well with our provider partners to know when it's time to bring somebody else in.
Perfect. And then you mentioned folks transitioning to maybe an assisted living facility. Do you also, because if they're connected with the senior centers, do you provide transportation from those facilities to come back to your centers, or is it harder for them to come in?
We typically don't. When people transition to that higher level of care, when those communities provide their own transportation services, the need is so great. We have to concentrate our resources for those most in need where we're the gap provider there. But once they do move to assisted living, we're typically...
And they're so active
right,
there, they have
right.
transportation to take them shopping. And
right.
And I'm thinking of the interactions and the friendships.
Correct.
But yes, okay.
And very often the families will bring them back to us for holiday celebrations.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. So again, if you know anyone or you would like to get involved more with senior centers, or you need some home services or perhaps Meals on Wheels, please give Carrie's agency a call. That is Senior Services of North Fulton at 770-993-1906. And you can check them out online at www.the letter S, and then spelled out, northfulton.org.
Correct.
Wonderful. Well, Carrie, thank you so much for being here with us today. Very, very important information, and I hope that we have helped at least a few of our listeners today. I'm Jeannie Pete. Thanks for listening. Have a blessed day and week ahead, and listen here same time next week and every week. Homestead Hope Foundation is your resource for a healthy life. God bless.